So as I said, with Kamala doing more interviews now, there's a lot more stuff to pick apart. A lot of this stuff, look, to be fair, is very good. The stuff that she said on The View about expanding Medicare to include home care, that's a big deal, man. Like that truly is a big deal. But that was the good part. Now we're going to discuss the bad part. So this is the moment that everybody's talking about with this interview on The View. She's asked, honestly, this is a good question from the women at The View. This is a very solid question. This is a question that, like, if I was ever interviewing Kamala, this is a question I would ask, right? They basically say, hey, where do you disagree with Biden? What would you have done differently than Biden? And that should be, look, it should be a softball down the center of the plate. I get that you're still the VP, and so you don't want to, like, offend Biden, but at the same time, like, you are a different person. He was switched out for you. This is an opportunity for you to define yourself as, no, seriously, I am different. People want you to be different. They don't want you to be Joe Biden. If they wanted you to be Joe Biden would still be the top of the ticket. He's not, right? Here's her answer. Ready?
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Like, literally all you have to do is say, well, you know, we had to take a minimum wage increase out of Build Back Better. I wouldn't have done that. I would have made sure that we kept that in the final package, and I would have called Manchin and Sinema into my office and made sure that they voted for it. I would have done everything I could in my power to get to that point, right? Hey, we Build Back Better, we ended up going with a bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, that was about 20% of the stuff that was in Build Back Better. I would have made sure it was at least 60%, right? Something, freaking anything. Give me anything. Biden is a union guy, but he's more connected on, like, the construction side of union workers. Kamala has union connections from California, but hers are more, like, care economy based. So go with something about unions when it comes to the care economy. Like, anything, bro. I would have, hey, we used executive power to reduce some student loan debt. I would have used executive power to also reduce medical debt, right? Something, anything, bro. Literally, there's so many things you can say. There are so many things you can say. And she said none of those things. But guys, it gets worse. It gets worse. So later on, she sort of comes back to this question and listen to what she says.
Yeah. Listen, I plan on having a Republican in my cabinet.
I got a list.
Yes, right. You asked me what's the difference between Joe Biden and me. Well, that will be one of the differences. I'm going to have a Republican in my cabinet because I don't feel burdened by letting pride get in the way of a good idea.
Yeah. Right.
So now, by the way, Joe Biden does have Republicans in his cabinet. I believe he has about 3 Republicans in his cabinet. One of them that comes to mind is DeJoy. The Republicans have done a horrible job, by the way. The Republicans he has with him. What's his face? Jerome Powell, right? He's a Republican. There's a whole bunch that are in his administration, and they've done a bad job. So let's get that out of the way, right? But, like, again, this all goes back to what we were just talking about. Kamala and her staffers feel, and they worry, that you're a black woman, so people are going to code you as left-wing. So you need to make sure to let them know, I'm a moderate, I'm a centrist, I'm a moderate, I'm a centrist. But their way of doing that is to have her say shit like this. There's nothing that's different between me and Joe Biden. Actually, there is, because I will be more right-wing, and I'll have a Republican in my administration. Presumably, she means, like, closer to her in her cabinet, right? And that's not the way to do it. That is not the way to do it. You need to find a way. Look, I get it. You're trying to get moderate votes and slightly conservative votes and disaffected Republicans. I get it. There's a good way of doing that, and there's a bad way of doing that. A bad way of doing that is saying, thank you for your service, Dick Cheney, Mr. Torturer War Criminal. I'm proud to have your endorsement. That's a bad way of doing that. A good way of doing it is just saying, yeah, I'm a moderate, I'm a centrist, and that's why I'm going to eliminate medical debt, and that's why I'm going to raise the minimum wage. Yeah, I'm a centrist. That's why I'm going to expand Medicare to include home care. I'm going to do centrist stuff like that. I'm a centrist. I'm going to do a $6,000 child tax credit. I'm going to ban price gouging. I'm going to lower more prescription drug costs. I'm a centrist. Look at the polls. Majority of Americans are with me on those things. That's right, smack dab in the center of the country. I am a centrist. I'm a moderate. These are the things I believe. That's how you do it. And by the way, we all know what she means. She means, like, Liz Cheney's going to be in the administration. Well, look, if Liz Cheney's going to be in the administration, the only thing she should or could ever work on is another, January 6th committee to take down Trump for more of his election stealing crimes. Because that's the only area where she's good. Everything else is bad. She was celebrating Roe versus Wade being overturned. Remember that? She voted over 90% of the time with Donald Trump. This is just Donald Trump in a pantsuit. Like, that's what she is. The only difference is she's against stealing the election. Wow. Like, lowest bar in history. I genuinely don't want to downplay that. Like, thank you for taking that position. That's good. But that is the only good thing about you. And so to put somebody like her in her administration, I mean, it's like, what do you think she's going to be saying to you? What do you think she's going to be doing? She's going to be begging you, do more war. Let's get deeper into a war with Iran, because I hate to tell you, but even if Kamala wins, we'll probably already be in war with Iran by that point, right? So it's just a bad answer. Now, by the way, I told you guys, her staffers are a bunch of idiots. They are recycled from the Biden administration, and Biden was polling in the fucking toilet when he dropped out. Not just because he was senile, but also because he's senile, right? So look at this. This is the dude who's running the show, Jeff Garin. He's running the show for Kamala. 3 weeks into her presidential run was the first time the Biden campaign's pollsters, now hers, held a deep dive call with Kamala Harris's inner circle to discuss what she's been saying on the stump. Over the line came a lot of praise, but also some suggested tweaks. First, said veteran Democratic numbers man Jeff Garin, summarizing their analysis, stop saying we're not going back. It wasn't focused enough on the future, he argued. And then second, lay off the weird talk about Republicans. That's too negative. Guys, I'm not kidding about this, and you could ask Crystal too, because this is what me and her were talking about behind the scenes. The we're not going back thing, and the, man, they're weird. Those were literally their two strongest points against Republicans. These are the two best things they were saying. We're not going back is great. We're not going back is like, it makes you feel, and it implies like, look, man, those times weren't good. Those times were dark. We're looking for a brighter future. We are not going back to that. That viscerally hits hard, right? Really, really good. Whoever came up with that deserves a raise, and they should be the one running the campaign. And the weird talk, that came directly from Tim Walz when he was doing cable news hits, and it literally looked like he sort of just shot from the hip and said that, right? Or at the very least that, maybe a month before he was in Minnesota and he said it and he got some positive reaction and he was like, I'm gonna go with this, right? But the reason that took off is because it was organic. It organically went viral. People were like, yes. Why are we pretending like Trump and the Republicans and the way they're acting is normal or okay? It's not. Not only is he an authoritarian menace, which he is, they're also fucking weird. They're weird. They want to ban no-fault divorce. They want to ban porn. They literally voted to try to ban IVF. This is weird shit. 39 Republicans in the Senate tried to vote against gay marriage last year. That's weird. And so it hit. Let me explain something to you guys. You don't get to arbitrarily decide what works and what doesn't. Something either works or it doesn't. You don't get to pick the reality in your mind and then try to superimpose it over the population. That's not how this works. I understand that better than anybody with the job I do for a living. I might think a title and a thumbnail are an absolute banger. And I'm thinking, I would click the shit out of that video. But if I post it and it gets 18,000 views, guess what? I was wrong. It was not a banger. It didn't hit. Objective reality has to mold your perception. These people outright ignore objective reality. They ignore it. They are a conventional wisdom status quo factory. And I'm getting concerned. I'm getting concerned that the race is going to be close again and that she can lose. I'm getting concerned about it because at the beginning they were on fire with the Tim Walz pick, and they were on a winning streak for a while there, talking about banning price gouging, baiting the Republicans into being idiots. This sort of stuff, the weird talk, the we're not going back stuff, wonderful. The stealing back freedom for Democrats and patriotism for Democrats, phenomenal, great stuff, right? But then now the more they come out, the event with Liz Cheney and saying thank you for your service, Dick Cheney, and not meeting with the uncommitted people, basically giving them a middle finger, listening to the Biden idiots, right? Saying, I'm not different at all from Joe Biden, but also I would have a Republican in my administration. This is the first sign, like, of real cracks in the foundation for Kamala. And the fear is you cannot repeat the same mistakes as Hillary 2016. And the bad news is Hillary has been talking to Kamala, and Kamala is receptive to her advice. We don't know how much, to be fair. That's between them. But Hillary said, yeah, I've been talking to her. I talked to her right before the debate. That's a bad sign. She's the only person who's ever lost to Trump. Touting the Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney endorsement kind of reminds me of Adam Johnson pointed this out on Twitter. In 2016, Hillary did this with John Negroponte, who's one of the most insane neocons, but lesser known, so even more embarrassing, right? And it's like, you're just repeating those mistakes. For the love of God, for the love of God, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Give me the Kamala that talks about banning price gouging and the $6,000 child tax credit and eliminating medical debt and expanding Medicare for home care and free school breakfast and lunch for kids and paid vacation time and paid family leave. Give me the Kamala that talks about that and call yourself a moderate and a centrist as you talk about those things, and you'll be, no pun intended, waltzing into the White House. But keep going on this track, and this race is going to be closer than we expect. Look, I will say this, the final, the silver lining, the saving grace is Donald Trump is running a hideously stupid campaign, like offensively stupid. Like, Trump's campaign is way, way worse, not only than his 2016 campaign, but also compared to his 2020 campaign. And his 2020 campaign was also trash, right? But 16 was the best. 2020 was way worse than 16, but 2024 is way worse than 2020. So the silver lining is she doesn't need to be great to win. She just needs to be better than Trump, right? And comfortably better than Trump, I'd say. And right now she still is, but I'm afraid of the Hillary influence and the former Biden people influence. They're giving really, really bad advice. Look, I've always said this. If I ever ran for office, which I won't, but if I ever did, I would brag about the fact that I don't have any strategists. What do I need a strategist for? I'm just going to tell you guys what I want to do with the country. That's what I'm here to honestly tell you what my plans are for the country and see if you agree with it and hopefully elect me. I don't need a strategist. I don't need to tiptoe around issues or come up with weaselly phrases to try to get you to like me. I'm just going to tell you what I want to do, right? That's what you need to do. For the love of God, listening to Tim Walz alone would be better than listening to these idiot Biden dead enders. So they need to remember that, but they won't. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.